All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight, joining us on the Eagles Nest podcast, we have a special guest. Laura Eisenhower is joining us. And we first met at Mount Shasta a few years ago, and we've been talking over the internet and staying in contact and just fostered a great relationship. She's really supported me and my family in my recent birth of my son coming early and everything, and really appreciate her so much. And before we introduce her into the show, I'd like to give a shout out to our affiliates, Mountain Rose Herbs. You can connect through sacreddreamswithin.com and connect to their products and let them know that you got connected through Sacred Dreams Within, and they'll give you a discount. And also River Moon Coffee. Got it right here. Jimmy got me hooked on it, and I'm drinking all the time. So River Moon Coffee, we have a banner over on Sacred Dreams Within, and that there's a promo code River Moon, and that'll give you 20% off on your first order. So just want to give a shout out to those and say thank you for the support and everything. And yeah, we just had Grant Cameron on last week, but tonight it's all about Laura Eisenhower. So for you, those don't know, Laura Eisenhower is the great-granddaughter of former President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And I'm just going to let her introduce herself from here. She's a well-known lecturer, speaker, and yeah, really appreciate her taking the time. Laura, you want to introduce yourself and take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Drew. It's really good to see you and be with you. Yeah, so you already said my name. I call myself a global alchemist in these crazy times. I'm like, yeah, that's why you called yourself that. And we could talk a little bit about that. But yeah, I've been a speaker, international speaker for the last decade or so, and just been connecting like major dots. I've been aware of my mission since I was a child. Had a very extraordinary experience in 2006 where I was recruited to go off planet. And I fought real hard to not let them take me. And it's just so interesting to be in these times in light of all that, really trying to continue to do what I'm here to do and how that relates to the planetary grid network, the planetary body, our galactic history, and what's going on a much, much larger picture level, how that relates to the Eisenhower administration and my connection with him and our agreement or connection or soul, like, I don't know what you call it. So yeah, it's wild to just kind of like be seeing what we're seeing in the world. And it's a never ending process. And so I almost didn't jump on this call because of utter exhaustion. So hopefully you guys will just be patient with me. It's been probably the more, I've had a really, really intense life. The last 4 days have been mind blowing, and, but I'm doing good and I'm happy to be here. But yeah, everything about me is pretty much on my website, cosmicgaia.org. So.
Awesome. So do you think the connection, and I'm just going to jump right into it, Laura, because if anyone's listening to this, they know my story. Probably they know your backstory pretty much. And if they don't, they can catch up. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Do you think your connection or that calling to the what would you call it, future soldier or the off-planet soldier program, the secret space program, what's that go by, Laura?
I was not a part of the secret space programs.
Okay, so what in particular was the program that you were speaking about that you were trying to be
right. So there are multi-level secret space programs. I know a lot of people who have gone through the 20 and back. I have researched this very deeply. People like Tony Rodriguez and Rebecca Rose. Excuse me, sorry, my voice is a little bit off.
You're good.
Rose. I mean, yeah, no, I have some water here. Rebecca Rose. I mean, oh my gosh, the list is so long. Penny Bradley. I mean, there's so many people I know that have been in the secret space program. I was recruited though to go off planet, but I wasn't in the projects and the programs, right? It's a completely different kind of story. And I'm writing a book about it. And we don't have to get into it. It's like a lot of people already know about it. It was basically just a very, very different sort of angle that helped me to open the doorway into exposing the secret space program. So it's almost like around 2010, the people that were recalling their memories and willing to speak up, and somebody like me who was like, okay, all right, I refuse to go, and I'm aware of this, and I've been researching it and connecting all these dots and doing all these like events and researching deep. Well, that was later, researching so deeply and just like getting to this point where it's like, wow, all right, I get it. And then all of a sudden synchronicity started to happen. I started to get in contact with people like Andrew Bashago, who went through Project Pegasus, and Alfred Lambert Weber, and the whole time travel stuff, and Project Camelot, and all the different people that had started to come forward talking about their secret space program experiences. But I was coming in from an angle of like, oh yes, all right, yeah, let's like get loud about this, because I was actually recruited to go off planet. So a lot of these friendships and contacts have been so interesting to connect the dots between, how I was recruited to go off planet, but how a lot of these individuals have been a part of these projects and secret space programs that I guess I was going to be more exposed to if I had ended up on Mars, which I refuse to do. And that's because I have a strong mission here on Earth, Mother Earth, and everything about that, which is a huge part of my work. As you know, you familiar with my work. I talk a lot about the Mother Sophia, goddess, Gaia, Planetary grid network, and just, gosh, I'll just kind of like leave it at that for now. So you can take wherever you want from there.
So do you think your recruitment was directly connected to your family lineage, or do you think it was something about your own soul space? That's but first part of my question. And the second part of my question, do you think the thing that saved you from actually being pulled into this program was the law of free will? Was that part of what saved you from that? And you can answer that however you want. Those two questions, you can meld them together or whatever.
Yeah. And again, everybody, cut me slack. I have I'm sleep deprived and been dealing with things you can't even imagine. Can you just sort of go back to the first part of what you said?
Do you think your recruitment into this program, or this off planet, but what situation?
Right, we had the family lineage.
Was it connected to your family lineage, or was it specifically something about your soul space? Like
right, that's such a brilliant question. So stop there. Oh gosh. Yes. Yeah. It definitely has to do with the soul journey. And the soul journey happened to put me in this Eisenhower family, right? And I know on a much larger picture level, I've been working with the spirit of Eisenhower, the soul of Eisenhower, for many lifetimes. And there is so much documentation, information about me coming in and incarnating into this family line in order to be able to reveal certain things connected to what he was up against that has been largely held in secrecy, in terms of different things that he set up, like the Earth Alliance and Ike's Force, the USMC Special Section. Actually, he was the one who created the White Hats and the Earth Alliance, and where the Sphere Being Alliance comes into it. This was all very much part of Eisenhower's administration, right? And that's not stuff that you hear about when you hear about Eisenhower. So the fact that I, out of all members of the family, had this kind of targeting on me since I was a child to steer me in this direction to go off planet in the event of, cataclysms and this and that. I mean, it's such a long story, and I'm trying to get my book out. Hopefully it's done soon.
We're looking forward to that, Laura. I know I'm personally looking forward to it.
Oh, good. But yeah, so how all these, kind of dots are connecting is like the soul journey is that, okay, in light of all this, coming into this family and seeing through the deeper layers of the warning of the military industrial complex that other family members were really willing to go. And then when the Mars recruitment actually happened, I was able to unearth things that might have been buried and never talked about. And those that are in the UFO disclosure community have been talking about Eisenhower, right? And his dealings with ETs. But this is even deeper than that because there's so much disinformation. And so another part of my mission is to break down that disinformation, because everybody's like, oh, your great grandfather sold us out to the Greys. And it's like, oh boy, you're going to want to read this book because there's a way bigger picture. And I've been working with a senior advisor with the Earth Alliance. And I've been working real deeply and how it connects to my Mars recruitment. And like you said, with the question, does this relate to the Eisenhower lineage? Absolutely. So the way it's all weaving back together is that there's going to be such a huge disclosure that's going to be coming soon from me in terms of all of that I think is going to blow people's minds because it's so limited. It's just like, for the last 10 years, it's been like, oh yeah, didn't your great grandfather sign a treaty with the Greys? And did your great grandfather sell us out to ETs? Like the great, and it's like, whoa, okay, like back up, stop, wait a second. Yes, those internet stories are there, but that is like so tiny compared to the huge, vast terrain of a bigger picture that I have to present to people because, there are things that the disclosure community has never, ever shared in the 10 years I've been in this field that I will be sharing soon that will challenge a lot of people because over the course of the last couple of decades, the disinformation campaigns have been so good in spinning these stories in order to cover up something that I'm going to be exposing about the ICC, Nazi Draco Alliance, the Earth Alliance, the White Hats, Ike's Force, and like stuff that is yeah. And let me just say, and I'll shut up. He did not sign the treaties. They did it behind his back. There's more to the story than anybody could ever imagine. And you know what? It takes all of me to process and research and go down these rabbit holes and work this energy and get access to this information. And I'm going to deliver it and you're going to like know more about it. And this is going to be a big year when it comes to this level of disclosure. And it's about time because you know what? When we keep living a narrative or just something that just like isn't really the truth, we're wasting our time. It's just diversions, distractions, artificial timelines. We got to get to the core and like really like set it free so that we can turn the madness around of what we're experiencing on the planet right now, because it's nuts right now.
Yeah, it really is. So would you say that we're leaning more towards the interconnectiveness aspect of everything, and we're really going to have to start accepting realities as a whole? Like something I talk about a lot. I believe that we're approaching this precipice, that we're about to start to understand our interconnectedness of their consciousness and exactly how this is all tied into the UFO, psychedelic, paranormal. All of it's tied in together. And it's a truth that's going to be really hard for people to understand. Would you agree with that take?
Yeah, and it's all about going deep inside ourselves because we are switching on dormant DNA. We are getting activated in ways we're just like starting to explore, like the multidimensional, lifting the veils between life and death and the dream realm and reality and like so huge. It's like all this is opening up while there's this war on consciousness and all these psyops and all these tactics and all these deep state dark agendas that are looking to like literally infect our creative minds and spin us into just fear and pain and more suffering, more enslavement and tragedy, and just just manipulation of the mind. I mean, it's just like so intense right now, seeing what's happening in Shanghai, the whole Ukraine-Russia thing and like everything. It's just like, this is a really, really, really intense time, and something's going to break, and it got to break, real soon. And I just don't really feel that a lot of people are appreciating the fact that something huge is happening, and it has to do with the planetary consciousness. It has to do with the Divine Mother. It has to do with just a lot of the stuff that Lisa Renee talks about and that I've been presenting about, that needs to kind of be really fed into the mix a little bit more in order to like turn this all around. And sometimes I just feel like, when I listen to broadcasts and people are just like, just going on and on and on and on about all that's going on in the world, it's just like, we need to insert this greater understanding and awareness of the Sophionic principle and corrections and what's really happening on a earth and cosmic level, and as far as the planetary alignments are concerned as well. So if we can bring that more into the mix, because I don't really hear Joe Rogan talking about it. I don't hear Mike. Mike Adams interviewed me, but it's like, I don't feel it's a part of the dialogues out there enough. And because I listen to a lot of stuff, and I have to be careful too, because I get my own downloads, and I don't tend to follow people. I just kind of just stay in my center and sovereignty. But and there's a lot of great collaborations, and I've definitely had a lot of support. So it's been awesome. But I just feel there's certain places where it could just bleed into a little bit more to I'm just hoping it'll spill in a little bit more to be able to complete this transformation. Because when I say global alchemist, we're turning lead into gold, the lead of this human experience into gold. It has to do with the elementals. We were talking about the elementals when it came down to like, are we going to be able to come together in this interview because of the weather? Like, it's like April and it's like snowing and windy, and I'm like taking the goats downstairs, upstairs, and everybody, I'm like a mother of 3 baby goats, and it's like nuts, like what I've been dealing with. And it's so amazing.
Oh, man. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much.
They're like totally my spirit animals right now. It's so funny because my North Node is in Capricorn. So I've got these, like, triplet goats that are like the most majestical creatures I've ever and I'm like, I mean, all hours of the night, bottle feeding, moving the pen downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. It's like I'm juggling so much, and I'm like doing all my tech stuff and arranging for like events for this year, pulling together PowerPoint presentations, trying to finish my book. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And sometimes I'm just like, man. So yeah. And then people are probably like, and I love the comments like, oh, Laura needs to chill. Laura, why don't you try and meditate? It's just like, you know what? Like, yeah, I know how to meditate. Like, if people really knew my background, oh my God. Funny, the comments. I really don't like reading comments, you guys, but I love the support, and I want to like hear like people's feedback. But like sometimes the comments is just like people think they know, but they have no idea.
I learned real quick when I started, especially when the pandemic hit and I started doing more podcasts. I learned real quick to stay away from the comment section. Try to, but
it's just so brutal. It's just like, are you freaking kidding me? It's just like,
yeah. There's two extremes. You got people that are really vibing with it, and then you got people that really don't. And I guess that's the mix of what's going on.
Oh yeah, and they're like either like critical in a really condescending but like helpful way, and then like then you got your bots, you got your trolls, and then you got your kind of like just some kind of like really mentally disturbed kind of people. Yeah, and it's just like I don't want to go there because I'm very empathic. It's just like my heart is all about just like healing humanity, and just all about Mother Earth, and all about like all the goodness that's unfolding and upgrading and revealing and blossoming. And I just can't stand some of the comments because like people really have no idea. And it's like, yeah, I'll put it all in a book, and yeah, you can read it, maybe get a clue. But at the same time, it's just like, oh man, I don't know.
I honor
What do
you.
I do?
I honor you so much, Laura. I swear you're just the best. Let's switch gears a little bit. And maybe there's no connection, but what's the connection to Egypt? Because it seems like everybody these days has, especially if they're going through this soul recovery system, they have some type of Egypt connection. So is there an Egypt connection, really? Laura?
Oh, I've always had an Egypt connection. Just, gosh, I've delved so much. I didn't really go to school, but I was like just in my own world, just like, mythology, archetypes, tarot, I Ching, like medical astrology. I mean, you name it. I was just like immersed, and I was healing myself from all kinds of things. I don't go to doctors, and I was just like, wow. And I really got into the Egyptian pantheons and everything about Egypt. And funny enough, my father was born in Egypt, and yeah, there's just like this connection on a soul level to Egypt that is so ancient, but there's been so many overlays and like manipulations to the Egypt energy over the course of history. A lot of sacred sites have gone through this. And I haven't really been drawn to I've always been drawn to go there, don't get me wrong. I'm a world traveler. I go everywhere, like, and yeah. For some reason I have not been to Egypt yet. And spirit, like, and I don't like talk to my guides. Like, I just talk to my higher self or just connect with source. But I'm sure I have guides, but I think I pissed them off. I don't think they want to hang around me anymore. I don't think I pissed them off. They're probably just like, no, you got this, Laura. Like, no, they love me and I love them. My goats are like my freaking spirit guides. But yeah, it's like, it's never worked out. I've gone to, sites all over the world, but we don't have to go to an actual location to experience it. Right.
Ooh, yeah. I preach that a lot.
What we hold in our genetic code, what we hold in our cellular memory, our energy centers, and just like past life recall is like enough for me. So I'm always like going to Egypt and working energy in Egypt.
Sure.
So I haven't been there in the physical, but I will be. But a lot of things have changed because of the planetary grid network and some of the dark technologies and things that have needed to be healed. But yeah, I mean, as far as the archetypes, I mean, I could go on and on and on about the Agdawad, the Ennead, the Council of Nine, the Hathor, Sekhmet energies. I mean, I was so consumed in it for so long, and how I was connecting the dots between that and like Sophia and Kuan Yin and
it's just
all the different, Glastonbury, Avalon. And I mean, I was so immersed in that world for so long that, the Egypt connection is just like, the hieroglyphs and everything about it, and the pyramids and how that lines up with different star systems, and
amazing.
And it just the true Gaia energy and circuitry, and how in its most embodied state, how it operates and flows to create advanced civilizations and really advanced humans, something that we're trying to get back to, right? This whole junk DNA and like what we are as humans right now is just like, this is like a sad joke every morning. It's just like, seriously, like looking at what's going on in the world. It's like, what have we become? Come on already. Because what is this ascension window really about? And the astrological alignments and everything that was prophesized and what the Mayans understood, the Venus transits and this and that, is all about, removing these frequency fences, switching this stuff back on, and being able to regenerate and ignite the elemental kingdoms again, to begin to tap into our greater spiritual gifts and abilities and override all these dark technologies and really get our power back. And it's just like the most unbelievable window of just like, it's like, enough already. Come on, people. And it's just frustrating because it's just like, it's sitting right here. It's right under your nose. And everybody's so distracted and all this other noise that it's just like, hey, like over here, like, come on.
Oh, I get it.
And I yell when I talk, and I don't care. And I know, and like,
I love the I love the passion.
Like, put some like heavy metal like guitars and like drums, and then you won't think I'm screaming. It's like I might as well be a death metal, like ah.
I love the passion. So do you think your heart space is connecting to Gaia? That's why that's why the passion comes out so greatly right now.
All I've ever known. I mean,
because you're kind of speaking for her in the moment.
That's all I've ever known.
That's beautiful. I
didn't vibe with school. I mean, it was just like I was in conversation and I was right there the minute I was born. I mean, like it was right away. It was just like. And I went on the journey like with her, and like, I try and capture it, in my book, but it's like, I'm not here as Laura, it's just like whatever about, there's the human Laura, and somebody's worried about, we're worried about Laura. It's like, shut up, people. No, I'm like in the heart of the mother.
It's so beautiful.
And what she's gone through. Okay. And I don't think anybody can deny, look at all the degradation of the environment, extinction, pollution of the waters, chemtrail, all this stuff. Like I'm with her fighting this battle in oneness, and it's just the way it is. And that's just how I'm designed. So
I'm with the message. So here's a question. What you spoke, tapped a little bit about meditation. Has there, was psychedelics ever part of your journey? My awakening personally, I'm sure like in 2016 was with ayahuasca. I definitely connected with the heart of Gaia and saw her, viewed the reality through her eyes. And I know that you can experience other ways, but it really sounds similar what you're speaking of.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I love your questions. I was not wanting to miss this interview. Yeah, so I was I'm not gonna like tell too many stories, but it doesn't matter how I was born anyway. But and I think people know I was born in England. I was born at home, and there's a connection to roses and all this kind of stuff. And I was like a wild child. Like when people met me later on in high school, when they, start to get socially engineered and conditioned and they just become jerks, they're just like, gosh, like, they used to kind of make fun of me for being so almost psychedelic and multidimensional and just like wild and crazy. They're like, God, did your mom do acid when she conceived you? I'm like, nah, my mom's never, I don't think she's ever smoked a joint. And this is before I ever did anything. When you're like, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, then boom, the age of 15 happens. And after I moved to England for a year, I was in American schools, even though I was born in England. We moved to the States when I was pretty young. And first the New York area and then the DC area, because my mom's Susan Eisenhower in DC. And it's just like, she's written a lot of books. You guys look her up. That's my mom. And so as I was kind of this wild, crazy child, my parents thought it might be a good idea that I spent a year in England, because my father's side of the family's from England, Scotland area, and Ireland kind of lineage, even though a lot of Irish on the Eisenhower side. And we're farmers. We're not Illuminati people. I know it's a presidential bloodline. We're kind of like an anomaly when it comes to presidents. Anyway, so they encouraged me to like, yeah, maybe spend a year in England, because they were a little worried about me because, everything was, crazy. Some funny stories I could share, just like 6th grade is just, oh God, I could just go on. And these are some really epic stories. And it was just sort of a suggestion. And I'm like, sure, because I'm an adventurer. I'm like, oh, go to England. Oh, of course I want to be with my granny. And so I went to England and spent the year there. And when I came back, I had the most unbelievable experience there. I was at an Ursuline convent prep school. It wasn't elitist school. It was a very rundown convent with a lot of really scary nuns. And it wasn't like, like people think, oh, you're an Eisenhower. So yeah, they're thinking like mansions, what, like elitist? No, not even close. So this place, I had to walk like miles to get there. So I can actually tell my kids the story. Like, I walked miles to go to school in the rain. And it's actually a true story, right? With my brown clogs and my blade, you know, and my little bag and Sister Anne and we turned that place upside down, and it was just like amazing. And it was psychedelic. Like I've always been like naturally, without needing any substances, a psychedelic kind of person, I guess. And anyway, so I moved back after a year, and it was the best year of my life. Friends that are in my heart and soul forever. And the nuns even like, you know, like started to have fun with us, even though they were first scary. Then I moved back to the States, and I was always like a sailor. I would sail every summer, but I was back in American high school, right? And, you know, boyfriends, cheerleaders, you know, high school stuff. And I'm just like, oh, okay, here we go again. Because, you know, I've pretty much grown up mostly in the United States, and I was used to it. And I always like had friends with all different groups. I never was like a part of any particular clique. I could be friends with all types, but it was a really hard transition. And that's when the whole psychedelic stuff, as far as ingesting it, came around. So when I was like 15, 16 period, and I went through a devastating breakup with like who I thought like, you know, fairy tale boyfriend.
It was your soulmate. It was your soulmate at the time.
I was already in the sacred union thing as a teenager. I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm like, you know, and he was like a really masterful guitar player for his age. And it just like, but he was, you know, played football, lacrosse. And so he was kind of like the cheerleaders were like, oh, you know, like all over him. But he like, for some reason, totally fell for me. And even though he could have anybody, and we were together for like a year and a half in high school and had the best friendship and played music, started to go to Grateful Dead shows, started to do mushrooms, started to, you know, just do all this stuff. And then we broke up, and it's too long of a story. I'm not here to share my life story, you guys. The audience is probably going to be like, oh, I can't believe Laura's just going off like this.
No, they're probably taking notes. They're probably taking notes.
But anyway, so when we broke up, like it crushed me, like in ways that like, I mean, like it literally changed my life. Like, because we had to be separated. I had to go off back to New York to stay with my stepdad, and I was sailing, and it was fine, but like I had to be separated from him. And this is when I started going to Dead shows at like, you know, 15. And so the crowd that I hung out with in New York, you know, were people that were like similar. So we, you know, listened to music, and I had a, you know, good summer, but I was separated from my boyfriend. It was devastating. But I was totally like, just like kind of getting into all that, which is a little shocking for my family, who isn't really like all about that. And I'm not like a deadhead really into the scene. I just love the music. Right. So I started to realize when I had like psychedelics after a lot of stress and heartbreak and just like confusion. You know, my mom just married a Russian physicist. Actually, she married the science advisor to Gorbachev. We're flying to Russia to go to a wedding, you know, and you know, I mean, I'm in the Eisenhower family, so we were dealing with world leaders all the time. I had Carl Sagan slept in my bed. I mean, I'm like, you know, I'm in the Eisenhower family, so you can imagine the kind of people I met growing up. You
Crazy life. Now you got 3 goats.
Yeah, well, no, like, who would have thought? So, you know, I was always around like world leader, you know, and just like flying here and there. And I was really struggling, and I kind of lost the magic that I had when I was like in England, when I was a kid, and I felt that natural kind of thing. I was going through that like horrible breakup, and I was in high school, and I kind of lost him to like all the fawning like girls that were just like Andrew, because he was like the big football player. He was just like, you know, the man to be with. And we broke up, and it was just like, you know, the heartbreaking letters. I remember sitting in the halls of high school, like crying and sobbing. And I just stopped going to school. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even interested in these subjects anyway. And like, I'm getting only a little bit out of all this. And that's when I really dove into all the stuff that I'm into. So around 16, you know, I dove into the I Ching, you know, medical, all the things that I'm into now that I speak about now. And yeah, and that's when, mushrooms, LSD, me and my friend, I'm not going to give like my whole psychedelic journey. God only knows where this video is going to land. But yeah, so I had those. And what's funny is my sister, who was like valedictorian, top artist, athlete. She was a year and a half older than me. And it's funny because we shared a room our whole life. And she filed everything every like thing that she had ever done, every test she ever took, every paper she ever wrote. And I had some of her same teachers, right? And because I started to just like not go to school, I would like sneak out of the house and go to 9:30 club, and I'd go see bands. I would go see all sorts of bands. You know, like all sorts of genres of music. You know, Grateful Dead was just one of it. It was like, you know, and it was like, and I had this really masterful way of being able to sneak out of the house. But anyway, the reason I was able to graduate is because she had filed everything. I could like pull it up and be like, oh, cool. Like, I can just, and then she busted me and she's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. And I felt really bad. And I still like, sorry, Caroline. But that's how I got through high school. And
Are you telling me Caroline helped Laura Eisenhower get through high school? Is that what you're telling me?
well, she filed everything, and like I wouldn't have been able to like pull off like some of the, you know, because I just wasn't there. I had the worst attendance and this and that, and it was only like a little bit. And then she's my sister, so we kind of laughed at it. She's like, "Well, you know, I'm passing it down to you. Maybe this is why I filed it." So we had like a good giggle, but like I stopped doing it. I ended up graduating, and what's funny is, you know, she's like, my sister blows my mind. She's so strong, such an incredible athlete. Her art was so incredible, and I'm an artist too, but I didn't pursue it as much because I was kind of like just going off the rails. My mission downloads were so huge, and I felt this targeting on me that I couldn't explain to my family. And this has to do with the Mars stuff. They didn't experience any of it, and I knew something was going on with me that they couldn't relate to. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to deal with it because I don't want to overwhelm them with it. I'm just gonna have to handle it. And I did, and I have, and here I am today. But it's just been crazy. So what's interesting is she ended up, after going you know, off to, you know, college, you know, very, very, very like, you know, top-notch SAT scores. I mean, like art, sports. She then there's so many stories. I ended up just going into the wilderness instead of college. I went to the Adirondacks, and I trained to be a wilderness expedition leader. Adirondacks, you know, just like traveling, you know, out of my vehicle and just really just doing that kind of stuff. She ended up doing all sorts of really cool things. I created a business before, like Whole Foods and all these health food stores. New Living Earth is a shipping delivery, organic shipping delivery company for immune compromised people. And I had a truck, and like I was doing everything, like, and I'm like a real hard worker. Like I love to work. Like people are, you know, who complain about chores. I'm like, are you kidding me? I love to work. I love chores. I was going to farms. This is before like people were like into organic food and this and that in the early 90s. Anyway, so to make a long story short, which I've already made way long, she ends up marrying the main dude in Brazil that found the ayahuasca and created the União de Vegetal, the native Brazilians. She married the son of the guy that was in the rainforest for 10 years and had 4 kids, moved to Brazil. And she just moved back to the States, to Florida. And so her kids, so they were born into it, the ayahuasca.
Amazing.
Thing. So I've done ceremony with them, and it was just crazy because she used to tell on me, like, Laura's doing mushrooms, like to my mom. And like later on, I'm like, and you're like, how ironic and funny that like you would be like married to you know, the son of this Brazilian native who started this whole ayahuasca thing in the jungles of Brazil. And it's just been such a wild ride to have that come into our family. And it's so interesting, like the Eisenhower family, if you see how diverse and crazy it is. So that's definitely been a part of my life. I can't say I've done a lot of ayahuasca. I'll say that I've done a lot of psychedelics though. And I don't really do them now because I have so many doors swinging open. I want to close a few so I can just like function as a human, you know?
I get that. I get that. Just pray for balance.
And I'm a mega Libra, right? I got Libra, like mega Libra. I got Libra, you know, Sun, Mercury, Uranus, Pluto, you know, and all the Scorpio energy. And I'm like, I feel like I have like little arm floaties in like the abyss, and I'm just trying to find balance, but it's like really turbulent waters. And I'm just trying to find balance. And, you know, and it's nice when people offer advice, but it's like, I'm the kind of person, it's like, I don't go to doctors, but I do, you know, when there's emergency, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we have kids, and I had twins, and, you know, so, you know, when it's absolutely necessary, sure. and I appreciate, the good aspects of the medical industry, but to see this level of tyranny and to see this infiltration that is really harming our future generations and really like robbing people of what this window period is really about is really tough to witness, because I really learned how to self-heal. And I really, after my landscaping and doing every job under the sun, I was able to help thousands of people doing readings, astrological readings, medical astrology readings. I know all about supplements and herbs. I've been in that field. And it's just like in these times, wow, it's like about getting closer to ourselves, closer to Mother Earth, closer to these medicines, and really into these energies that are helping us to upgrade our DNA. And look at this hijack. It's just such an extreme that I can't even believe some people that I thought like were really on board with the more sort of organic mother have completely fallen for it. Like it's really intense to navigate these times, I have to say.
I agree. I totally agree. One thing I go back to, I'm not trying to preach to you, but I know that time's an illusion. I know that everything's happening right now. So I also know that my perception is a lot that has a lot to do with my reality. So if I can remember all these truths that I've been shown, the time and space and how everything's happening right now, I can really see that it's, for me, it's already happened. Like I'm in celebration mode. I'm
Of course, yeah,
of it's already happened. It is hurtful. Me personally, I've had a lot of lessons in grief these past 2 years in my close family, and now a lesson in life right at the beginning of the year on 1/11. My son Hawk was born on 1/11. So I see, the universe is telling me that the waves are switching into more gratitude and life. And man, I think we're entering an amazing time personally. I really do.
Yeah, well, I've been I mean, it's amazing, it's like I got out of them trying to take me to Mars, and they were like, you're going whether you like it or not. And it wasn't like any kind of MK Ultra, or like it was just they set me up with a partner, and it was very manipulative. They're like, no, we're here to protect you. And I'm like, I'm not really buying into that, kind of thing. I know I've had those experiences in other lifetimes, though. I'm not saying that like, and I've done a lot of hypnoregression. I went to a clairvoyant institute. So if people are like, oh, maybe she's under mind control and she doesn't realize, it's just like, just you don't know my life path. It's like, I've done more energy work and more meditation, clairvoyant training. So it's just, really amazing. I've always stood for the organic ascension timeline. That is something you cannot destroy. That is, everything. The only reason I let myself get upset is because I don't know, I'm an empath, and I guess, the reason Shanghai is hitting me real hard is because I've got friends there. I was just there in 2019 with Michael Sala and John D'Souza. We were in China for 2 weeks. I like when I see the footage, it's like, oh my God, it's like I remember that building, and like, oh my gosh, I really we explored Shanghai, like, and really, sat with people that, were really the heart and soul of that area, and we spent some really decent quality time there, and we put on a great conference. And even one of the most famous pop stars in that area actually said he was a fan of mine, and he followed me, and he played a song for me, and I got his, disc, and he just like honored me. And like before I did my talk in we went from Shanghai to Beijing, but he introduced, he's like, I'm going to play a song. He's like, he's like, in China, he was considered like the Justin Timberlake of China, right? He's like, like, and it was just like, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? The standing ovations, the love, and just the heart, and all the Chinese, and they were just circling around John D'Souza and Michael and I, and they were like the most loving and most beautiful beings. And like, here's this communist like shit going on. And so I've been in nonstop tears and pain ever since I just saw what was going on in Shanghai. I reached out to all my friends there, and I haven't heard back. People are falling out, they're committing suicide. They're starving them. They're killing animals and cats and dogs in the streets. They're ripping children away from their parents. They're locking them up. They can't go shopping. They can't eat food. And it's not like, other tragedies in other parts of the world don't affect me. I mean, pretty much everything does. But I almost feel like I have to mourn and cry and just like process. It's like I can't find a neutrality, and it's okay with me. And it's okay that, like, I don't care if you guys don't like the way I show up and you expect something else. But you know what? It's like I feel so deeply and I'm so crushed and heartbroken. And I'm like, there has to be this disclosure, a lot about the Eisenhower stuff, a lot about the Sophia, Gaia stuff, the Christ-Sophia stuff, the Planetary Grid Network. And I'm glad I'm doing a lot of live events, and I'm going to start traveling again. But, sometimes I just feel like, it's not being blasted out enough as it deserves. And it's not about me. It's about the message. It's about something that's so beyond me. But it's something that's a part of all of who we are. And we have to align with it and remember it in order to be that override frequency, to shift the collective consciousness so that we can overthrow these tyrannical, parasitic, like, systems. And, and if we don't remind ourselves of it, we just get sucked into the narrative, sucked into the fear, or into the battle, the divide and conquer. And it's infected even the truth or in disclosure community. And it's really frustrating, and I'm sick of not being taken seriously. I'm sick of the trolls. And you know what? I joke with my husband, like, when I leave this earth plane, and I'm not going to do this, and I had any, like, and I don't think I'm that part, it's not about that. I'm going to leave a big FU constellation in the sky on my way out.
Well,
I've been screaming this stuff for years, right? People are like, oh, you kind of scream when you talk. It's like, oh, well, you know what?
Yeah, it's your passion, and I totally get it. And we talked about not doing this interview and pushing it off till tomorrow. I think that doing it today, my show.
You might not air this, I bet.
No, I'm on air. My show is raw. I turned down offers from other networks because I wanted to put a show out there that was unedited and people could share whatever they wanted, and there was no networks that was dictating or whatever we could talk about. I think your passion, and I think the audience is feeling it as well, and I know a lot of them's connecting it to it as well, the passion and the frustration of what's going on right now. Like I feel it too. We all feel it. Like we all feel it. What is I would like to hear, was there ever a spontaneous oneness moment where you had like a godhead or like bodhisattva moment where you gave up form? Did that ever happen without psychedelics?
Oh yeah, psychedelics were, I mean, like, I don't feel like I need them. It's like I feel normal. It's like people like are like, oh, I'm like, it's like, this is like normal. Like if anything, it just like makes me feel at home. I'm like, oh, there I am. If I'm like stressed or heartbroken or feeling like really pissed at the world, it like brings me back to center. But it's like I don't know. I have had so many dreams about just source, just beaming down. I have so many visceral dreams and experiences just with the Christ energy, and just like, him shape shifting into a bird and like coming into a tower and like visiting me. And like, how many times does he hold me where I've just cried and cried and cried and cried in his arms? It's like the connection with the Christ energy is like, and when I've just felt like I just can't make it, I can't take it anymore. I mean, raising twins, living on the road with a very unstable person, rainbow dude, who couldn't hold a job, and like, just, it was just like, I was just on my knees every day, just crying, like taking care of my babies. And I had so many incredible, miraculous experiences with source energy, with Christ energy, with just being able to manifest miracles so that me and my kids could survive and thrive and be okay. And they're here with me and they live with me. There's Beautiful. So many dreams. There's so many profound dreams with whales and cetaceans, and going right up into that 0 point unified field and having almost a DMT experience. And no, I wasn't smoking anything. I don't really, people think like, oh, Laura, it's a big pot smoker. She's like on drugs. It's like people don't realize, like, now I'm like naturally like this. Sorry to like burst your bubble like I'm some drug addict. Yeah, I used to drink too much after my heart got broken over and over again. Yes, I've struggled with alcohol here and there, but like when it comes to psychedelics, you know, it's been very sparing, you know, and the times that I've used it has been very helpful in healing, especially when I needed it most. But you know, hemp, marijuana, I do CBD, and I've learned about strains. Sativa doesn't work for me because I'm already really wired, right? I talk real fast, right? It's like, you can imagine me on sativa. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like heart going. But indica, it's like, yeah, I might knock myself out with a little bit of smoke at the end of the day, but it's like, no, most of what you see from Laura is 100% natural, you guys. I'm just a total freaking freak, I guess.
We love you, Laura. We love you. We see ourselves in you. I see myself in you. If you don't know,
people need all that stuff. Don't worry about it, because once you switch all those dormant aspects on, you're going to realize you don't need any of it.
yeah,
You know, everybody's got this capacity to be, you know, aligned in this way. And I'm not saying like my way is your way, but what is your truth frequency? What does your sovereignty look like? What does your psychedelic multidimensional self look like? You know, use these things as ways to get yourself there. Even if you have to use it a lot, it doesn't matter. But once you get there, though, that's when we really start to have fun on this planet, I think. And we don't need the matrix. We can work together in unity consciousness, work with the earth, work with, you know, our guardian, multidimensional, like star system, family, friends, star origins, and divine source, and rebuild the template of the tree of life and the diamond sun DNA. And let's put our attention there and starve this beast and stop being pulled into all this crap, because really what they're doing is siphoning and siphoning and siphoning, because that's the loosh they feed on, because they're parasites. But right now, yes, we're seeing tragedies. There's going to be a lot of casualties. A lot of people are going to die. But at the same time, let's not fear death. Let's honor these souls. Let's pray for them, and let's hold space for them. And just know, in a larger picture way, we're all going to be reunited from our, you know, there's no true separation from those that we love.
wow.
And that is, to me, inevitable. But the fear of it is because of what we've been taught through religion and through indoctrination in school systems. Let's not fear death. Let's face these times. You know, we've all been tortured. We've all suffered. You know, even we sign up sometimes to be tortured and suffer, you know, climbing Everest or like getting tattooed all over your body, you know, but let's transmute the pain that we're experiencing that feels tragic into something that doesn't allow them to have a piece of our soul, so that we can pull it all back and knock those mother effing, you know what's, off this planet, so that we can experience what our divine blueprint, our divine inheritance, and our true divine destiny is really all about.
Nice. So closing out, I got one more question, and then I'm gonna let you let us know where we can catch up with you. The last question: what Laura's speaking to herself 20 years from now? What do you have to say to Laura 20 years from now?
If I was talking to myself, if I'm talking to myself 20 years from now, or me talking to myself 20 years back, like when I
no
20
in the future, like what do you have to say for the Laura 20 in the year 2042?
Oh, well, I feel like I've already been there. And like we talked about, like, these aren't linear timelines. This has to do with multi-dimensions. It has to do with our consciousness. It has to do with what we're willing to experience and switch on. We can be in like a whole other dimension and, you know, walk in the same room as somebody who might just be in 3D or very limited. It doesn't mean that we are in the 3D. So I already feel like, you know, I'm from the future. I'm from the past. I'm from above and from below. I've been in the cycle. But yeah, if I were to talk to that person, yeah, I don't know where I might be. I don't know if I'd be in physical form. When I went to the Clairvoyant Institute, they read a lot of past life where it wasn't in physical form. I was just just the elements. I was the water, the air, the earth, the sky, and I was just spirit. And so I might return to that, or I'll keep being in service to humanity and taking on like a meat suit and having to deal with like just all the stuff that comes along with like having to deal with like the human body. but I just feel like my heart is to stay in service and to help protect our children, future generations, and do anything I can to help mitigate all the damages that the abuses of the deep state and cabal and all their dark technologies have done on the innocent and children, you know. And I'll just never stop fighting. And I'm not afraid of death. I can't tell you how many times I've died in this lifetime. Why does anybody fear death when we know we've died so many times before and we keep coming back? We keep finding each other. So let's like not like let the indoctrination like put us into this thing of, oh no, it's just this lifetime. It's like, really? No, we're infinite, immortal souls in a maybe temporary physical body, but we're teaching the physical body to upgrade itself to the point where it can become like a Merkaba UFO sort of consciousness mothership, you know. And if we have to keep coming back to figure it out, you know, time is endless until we remind ourselves and we get it. You know, just stay close to your soul, because you know what its potential is huge. But you know, if you lose the physical, you're still there. You know, just take on a different form and teach yourself those lessons that you might have missed in your past life. You know, there's nothing but celebration. That's why I love that you said that, because you know, as much as I cry and mourn and grieve, you know, I'm mostly laughing my ass off so much. I'm like, oh my God, if I die of anything, I'll probably die of laughter in this lifetime.
I love it. Any last messages for the people that you want to get out? Any last messages, and then I'll let you give us a heads up where you're going to be at.
Thank you for your awesome questions. Thanks, guys, for letting me just be where I'm at. I didn't think it was probably a good idea that I show up and be on camera, but you know what? What do I have to lose? I'm just here to be myself. My website's cosmicgaia.org. I'm going to update it. I do all my kind of tech stuff too. So sometimes it's a little bit behind, but got the Shasta event. Are you going to be there? Where am I going to see you? I got Disclosure Fest. I'm going to Mexico with Sasha Stone. I'm going to Secret Space Conference. I'm going to a place in Texas. I'm going to somewhere in Florida with Alex Collier and Elena Denon. And then I'm heading to Europe. So yeah, I'm ready to fly again and like kick ass in the so-called friendly skies that have become really weird. Because last time I flew, I got kicked off of Alaska Airlines. It's just like this whole mask, you know, but I'm going to, you know, I'm preparing and I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to go again.
You still might have to wear a mask, but
no, that's fine. That's fine. You know, it's just like I put essential oils in it and I'm just sitting there breathing in frankincense and lavender.
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah.
about the mask so much. It was just the double masking, and just they didn't like the fact that like I was having like a really awakened and amped up conversation with the person next to me. It was too much. They're like, they escorted me off the plane. I'm like, good. I don't want to fly with you. Then I had to find a rental and I made it home. I mean, one of the things that I feel really comfortable about is you can drop me anywhere in the world. And because of my wilderness expedition background as well, I have no fear, but I had to take a break just because it just got so maddening seeing like where people's heads were at. But I've emoted enough. I've processed enough, and I'm ready to go again. So it's going to be a very full year of in-person events. I'll keep my website updated. You can find my Telegram link there. And yeah, I lost a lot of my main platforms. I rebuilt a few. But yeah, I'm going to continue doing what I do. And if I just love you guys and we're doing it together, we're a team, we're a unified front. I appreciate you so much and all that you're doing and the amazing strength and light that you hold. I mean, like, you know, you're really like you really maintain that sacred flame so beautifully. And I so appreciate it because, you know, sometimes when I just really feel like, you know, I check in with somebody like you and I'm just like, I feel so much gratitude. So
man, that coming from you, Laura, man, I really appreciate it so much. And having you with the second episode, following up Grant Cameron, it's been about 2 hours, but it's been about 8 hours between the two of you of information that's come out in these two interviews. It's been amazing. I honor you so much. You can't, I'm not scheduled for anywhere in person this year. I'm open to it. So if you have any ideas for me,
sure.
If you have any ideas for me, reach out in the background. I am doing an online webinar with KUNX where I'm going to be doing the first lesson in telekinesis and teach the first lesson on how to move objects with our mind. So that's one of the things I'm spearheading for our humanity, is bringing that back into existence for us to start using again. Yeah, but I honor you, Laura. I do invite you to read my books. I think you're really vibe. I've channeled Source, Osiris, spontaneously, and Source, and now I'm just open. But my first book is I'm Perfect and So Are You, and the second one is Find Your Inner Guru. And the second one, it talks a lot about how to live after the awakening, how to life look after that. You know, once you understand that you're oneness, how do you still walk on two legs and still do the laundry and all that? So
that's incredible. How brilliant, and congratulations. I mean, that's
yeah.
that you've done that. And when you talk about like the things that you connect with, there's a lot of imposter energies, and I know you're the real deal, and you're connecting in a real way, and it's just an amazing accomplishment. And what incredible like guidebooks. I mean, just the titles alone is just like, oh my gosh, like it's like, okay, I'm gonna get that. It's like, hey kids, check your mail because you're gonna read his book, and you know, and I just already know in my heart, like, oh man, all the goodies and all the brilliance and wisdom that you put into it. I can't like, when my book's done, I'll have a chance to be able to read books again. It's been a while, but that's awesome. And thanks for all your work, and thanks for, you know, hosting me and just doing what you do, and just sending so much love to your family and your beautiful baby hawk. And I will stay connected, and I'm sure we'll see each other in person soon, I hope.
Okay, much love, Laura, and we're gonna have you back on soon.
Oh, thank you. And I like, likewise, I want to interview you and have you on, just get to know you more and hear all about your stuff. So we'll talk about that. Okay.
Awesome, Laura. Thanks for the time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.